I would love you to do so. And I think it'll be so good for you and so big for you. And we're going to win. We're going to win. You know, we're way ahead of the guy.
So that is a video you're probably familiar with. And in that video, RFK Jr. is on the phone with Donald Trump and, according to reports, is maybe trying to like get something out of this whole thing and not the presidency, maybe getting a cabinet position in that call, sort of maybe trading favors. Maybe there could be an endorsement or he could drop out or something like that. Well, that's a few weeks ago. And most people I think have largely forgotten that happened, but they might be remembering it now because as you've probably seen, reports say that RFK Jr. has also tried to meet with Kamala Harris to discuss a cabinet job. And isn't it so like perfect that he could have a position where he's fine with serving under either of them? I mean, politicians who are wildly different on ideology and policy and life story and strategy, and even on like the core issues for RFK Jr. of like whether medicine is a thing. They hold very different positions, but he's fine with serving for either of them. I don't know, maybe if I'm being like, as kind to him as I can be, he just wants to do whatever he can to help out and he'll do that under any president. I don't know, but he does appear to be playing both sides so that whoever wins, he ends up on top, much like Mac in Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
A storm is tearing up the digital media industry. Only our audience can save us in these difficult times. Help us reach our goal of 100,000 new members at tyt.com/team.
Now, Harris and her advisors have not responded with an offer to him wanting to meet. They apparently have not said that they will meet or shown interest in the proposal. And Kennedy says he hopes Harris reconsiders his office of a meeting. Quote, "I think it's a strategic mistake for them. That's my perspective. I think they ought to be looking at every opportunity. I think it's going to be a very close race." And that's a very interesting thing to say there, because again, remember, what he says is, I'm in this to win the presidency. I'm gonna get the most votes in enough states that I get 270 votes in the Electoral College and I will win. That's what he says. That's insane. There's no, like, not only is that not going to happen, he's not even campaigning as if that could happen. And what instead seems to be the case is, he might be able to throw things one way or the other. Now, that's a thing that outsiders often say will be the effect of a third party candidate. You don't often have the third party candidate themselves basically making that case. And that seems to be what we have right there. And so in response to the reporting that I'm now talking about, he put out a longer statement and no longer seems interested in talking with Harris. I'm not gonna read the entire thing because that's crazy, like that meme of, I feel really bad for you or congratulations or whatever. I'm not reading that entire thing. But it ends with, I have no plans to endorse Kamala Harris for president. I do have a plan to defeat her. Which, okay, you're not gonna endorse Kamala Harris? That makes sense. I mean, based on what we know of his politics, I wouldn't think that he would want Kamala Harris to win. I don't know for sure that he'd want Trump, but it certainly seems like they're ideologically closer. To the second part of his statement, I do have a plan to defeat her. Not really, not to defeat her and become president at least. As I said, they're not campaigning as if they think that could happen. And he has lost like 3/4 of his support in the polling. It's just, it's not gonna happen. And this is not even really a criticism of RFK Jr. It's a criticism of the way our elections are run. It's very, very difficult for a third party candidate. Even a rich guy with a famous name has a hard time making headway. And so not even really criticizing there. But that said, when he says I have a plan to defeat her, again, maybe he does, just not for him to win. Maybe he could throw things to Donald Trump. But look, he also says that he wouldn't join Trump's administration now. He says he won't take that cabinet position. The campaign will go to the end. And so I don't even know what to believe coming out of this, because he's talking on the phone with Trump and seems like he clearly wants to barter for a position. He offers to meet up with Harris, and if it's not for a cabinet position and it's not for an endorsement, then what the hell would it be? Like to recommend a good recipe? But then he comes out and says, I don't want either of these things. Look, I just don't buy it. Again, you don't have to trust me. You can make your own determinations about what his motivations are, but I don't buy it. Anyway, Team Trump apparently thinks that there's still a possibility, even though he's talking in that way. They said they're still in touch with Kennedy and his senior team, and some of the advisors are expecting Kennedy to drop out and endorse Trump. which theoretically could happen. Kennedy campaign officials apparently believe that overall he's pulling support disproportionately from Trump at this point in the race, though there are, as we have many times said, state by state variations. Even if Kennedy did withdraw from the race and endorse one of the two candidates, his campaign believes there are states where he would not be able to remove his name from the ballot. Early voting in some states begins next month. And their evaluation of the effect is right. If we bring this chart up, you take a look at head-to-head race between the Democrat and the Republican, and when you throw in third-party candidates, and that's not just RFK Jr., but it generally hurts by 1 point to 8 points in one of those polls. And so, look, that's the bargaining chip that he has, that he can try to maybe pull out, again, if it's even possible in some of these states, to help influence the election for one of the candidates. But as time goes on, even that might not be possible. And I'm seeing people saying in the chat that he's gonna be having a press conference sometime today. Maybe it'll be in relation to this, maybe it won't, remains to be seen. When you click the join button and become a tier 2 member, you get access to all of our weekly top 10 lists. What are you waiting for?